living organisms, habitats and adaptations. Some aquatic habitats. The habitats where the animals live in water bodies such as ponds, lakes, streams, rivers, seas and oceans etc. are the aquatic habitats. The sea animals have streamlined bodies to help them to move easily in water. So all the aquatic animals have streamlined bodies. While moving, they cut through the water and move further. There are some sea animals like squids and octopus. They don't have such a streamlined body, but they stay deeper in the ocean near the seabed and catch their prey. They found their food and moves towards them. However, when they move in water, they make their body shapes streamlined. So these animals have gills to help them use oxygen dissolved in the water. There are some sea animals like dolphins and whales. They do not have the gills. Dolphins and whales do not have the gills. What are those respiratory organs in them? They are blowholes or nostrils on their forehead. They use the blowholes for respiratory purpose. They breathe in air through the nostrils or blowholes that are located on the upper part of their forehead. They can stay inside the water for a longer time without breathing. Ponds, lakes, rivers, seas, oceans, and streams, etc. are the aquatic habitats. The plants that live in these aquatic habitat are some are fixed, some are floating, and some are sinks inside the in between these two. Some of these plants have their roots fixed in the soil below the water. These are fixed plants. Roots are much reduced in the size and their main function is also to hold the plant in the place. Stems of these plants are long, hollow and light. Leaves, flowers float on the surface of the water. These are floating plants. Some plants are merged. They are submerged in the water. Plants are submerged and the leaves are often highly divided, through which the water can easily flow without damaging them. Frogs usually live in the ponds. Frogs can stay both inside the water as well as move on the land. They have strong back legs that help them in leaping and catching their prey. Prey is the food of the animals that they hunt and get. They have webbed feet which help them swim in water. So these are the adapted animals in aquatic medium and the special features for that. So we studied all plants and animals as the living organisms. So what are the characteristic features of organisms? You can list many characteristic features of the living beings because you can study in your surrounding so many animals and plants including human beings. We human beings, what the characteristics, the features we are having, also all the animals and insects also have. We human beings eat food. We get food for our energy. But do all organisms need food? All the living organisms need food for their survival. But the plants, they prepare the food for their survival. And not only for them, they provide food for all the plants, all the animals, all the insects and other organisms. Animals depend on plants or other animals for their food. Food gives organisms the energy divided to grow. Organisms also need energy for other life processes that go on inside the body, in their body. Then do all the organisms show growth? All the organisms show growth. You must have growth taller during these years. You may not realize it, but you are growing all the time. And in few years, you will become an adult. Young ones of animals also grow into adults. You would surely have noticed the pups grow into dogs, adult dogs, and chicks hatched from an egg grow into a hen or a cock. So like this, plants also grow from a small plant to big trees. They may all be in different stages of growth. Growth seems to be common to all the living beings. So we can say the characteristic features of living beings is living beings grow. Do all organisms respire? Can we live without breathing? When we inhale and give out the gas, the air, when we breathe out, the air moves from inside our body to the outside. So breathing is part of the process called respiration. In respiration, some of the oxygen of the air we breathe in is used by the body. We breathe out carbon dioxide produced in this process. The process of breathing in animals like cows, buffaloes, dogs or cats is similar to human beings. We may observe the animals while they are taking rest. You can notice the movement of their abdomen or chest and stomach part. This slow movement indicates that they are breathing. So like this, all the animals respire, but their respiratory organs are different in different animals. Some animals may have different mechanisms for exchange of gases, which is part of the respiration process. For example, earthworms. Earthworms breathe through air. They don't have the nostrils. Their skin is the respiratory organ. The moist skin of the earthworm helps in the diffusion of gases. Fish. In case of fish, they have gills for using oxygen dissolved in the water. The gills absorb oxygen from the air dissolved in water. So exchange of gases in plants mainly takes place through the leaves. The leaves take in water through the tiny pores in them and use the oxygen. They give out carbon dioxide through the air. The amount of oxygen released in the process of food preparation of plants is much more than the oxygen they use in respiration. Respiration in plants takes place day and night. Then do all the organisms respond to stimuli? Yes. Now you are hearing the lesson. Then you are grasping it. You are listening it. You will show expression. This is called respond to stimuli. How do you feel when you see or think about your favorite food? You will suddenly move towards and catch the plate. When you move suddenly from a dark place into the bright sunlight, what happens? Your eyes shut themselves automatically for a moment till they adjust to the changed bright surroundings. Your favorite food, bright light and thorn. In these situations, you can say the changes are happening in the surrounding. So all of us are suddenly responding to the stimuli. Immediately such changes in our surrounding that make us respond to them. These are called stimuli. Do the plants also give stimuli? Yes. Flowers of some plants bloom only at night. In some plants, flowers close after sunset. In some plants, like mimosa, that is touch me not, leaves close or fold when someone touches them. These are some examples for responses of plants towards changes in their surrounding. For this, you can perform an activity. Take a potted plant in your home, keep in the dark place near the window, and observe for 2 to 3 days how the movement of plant shows. It is not growing upright. You can observe it is growing towards the light, that is towards window. So all living things respond to changes around them. Living organisms and excretion. When all organisms need food, not all the food that is eaten is completely used, but a part of it is utilized by the body, then what happens to the remaining? It has to be removed from the body as the waste. Our body produces some water wastes in other life processes also. The process of getting rid of wastes from the body, from the organisms, is known as excretion. So do the plants also excrete? They also excrete as the animals. The mechanism in plants is a little different. Some plants find it possible to store the waste products within their parts in a way that they do not harm the plants as a whole. Some plants remove waste products as secretions. Excretion is another characteristic common to all organisms. Do all the organisms reproduce? Yes, they give birth to young ones, they lay eggs. These are the means of reproduction. Plants also reproduce, like animals. Plants also differ in their mode of reproduction. Many plants reproduce through seeds. Some plants reproduce through seeds, through stem, by means of leaves also. Seed from a plant germinates into a new plant. This shows the growth of the plant. Also, the new plant is grown from a seed. We can say the sapling is from the mother plant. Some plants also reproduce through parts other than the seeds. Example, part of a potato with a bud. You can see potato plant growing from a bud of a potato. So plants also reproduce through cuttings. You can see in rose plants, in mogra, in jasmine, in show plants, hibiscus, daswala, many plants grow through the stem cutting. We also have some non-living things moving, of course, a bus, a car, small piece of paper, clouds and so on. Is there something different in this moment from the moment of the living beings? Yes, there is difference. There is such variety of living organisms, but all of them show some common characteristics as we have discussed. Yet another common characteristic is living beings die. Because organisms die, particular types of organisms can survive around thousands of years only if they reproduce their own kind. One single organism may die without ever reproducing. But the type of organism can exist only if there is reproduction. Means living organisms reproduce and give their own kind of organism. They resemble their parents. The offsprings resemble their parents. In case of plants, you can observe the kind of movement is opening and closing of the flowers, and also in the touch me not plant. So like this, all living beings need food, respire, respond to stimuli, reproduce. They show movement and they show all these characteristics and they also die. In general, something that is living may have all these characteristics that we have discussed, while non-living things may not show all these characteristic features at the same. To understand this a little better, let us look at the specific example. Consider any seed, say move. Is it living? It can stay in a shop for months and not show any growth or some of the other characteristics of life. However, we bring the same seed and plant it in the soil, water it and turns it into a whole plant. Okay. Did the plant need the food or seed? Yes, the seed needs the food. It excretes? No. But it reproduces. It shows the movement. It shows the growth. Then, what is then a life? What then is a life? Push your hand deep inside a sack of wheat. Do you find it warm inside? There is some heat being produced inside the sack of wheat. The seeds respire. In that process, they give out some heat. We see that respiration is a process that takes place in the seeds, even when some of the other life processes may not be very active. It may not be very easy to answer our question. What then is life? However, looking at all the diversity of living beings around us, we can conclude that life is beautiful.